All right, peace. Happy Wednesday to everybody. I'm gonna try to let some more people in. Peace to everybody checking in on YouTube. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me okay. If you can hear me and see me loud and clear, let me know. What up to Florida, Greg in Florida, Damien in VA. Peace to you. Can everybody hear me okay? Check one. Okay, loud and clear. All right, bet. So let's go ahead and get started. So I can honor you all's time. This won't take long at all. Excuse me. Before we get started, I want to introduce myself. For those of you, actually, let me stay here. For those of you who don't know, my name is Nita. I am an investor and inspector from Cleveland, Ohio. I've been buying, rehabbing, renting, selling homes in Cleveland for the last 10 plus years. And for the last about 5 of those years, I've also been inspecting. That's how I actually got into inspecting because as an investor, I was using so many inspections and all of that kind of stuff. So that's how I got into the field. I have passed the NHIE twice. Twice I am NA or ICC certified, internashi. Excuse me, I've done all of that. And so I also started a school to teach people from all across the country how to become a home inspector, even if you don't come from a background in the trades. So that's who I am and why I'm qualified to speak on this topic tonight. First, let's go over really quickly for those of you who don't know or may not be aware exactly what a home inspector is. It's just somebody who performs a visual inspection of the main systems and components of a property, and it comes with the report. Don't forget that part, right? So it's not just actually doing the inspection, it's also writing the report. Typically, 80% of the homes that are sold across the country require a home inspection. So this is not something where, again, you're having to beg and plead with people to get home inspections in order to complete their transaction. In most cases, they're going to be required to have one. You should not confuse home inspecting with a building inspection. Home inspections are not pass or fail. We don't come out and say yes you pass or no you fail. Those are building inspectors. Building inspectors are inspecting a property for code. If it meets code requirements, you pass. If it doesn't, you fail. A home inspection is simply just to give you, again, an inspection and then a report on the major systems of the home, just so that you're clear on that. Okay. So now let's talk about the actual NHIE. The NHIE is a test that was created by the exam board of professional home inspectors, which is just a nonprofit organization who got together and said there should be a standard test for everybody, whatever the case may be. And so they came up with this test. If you live in a regulated state, which there are, I believe, 32 regulated states at this point in time, if you live in a regulated state, there's a good chance that the NHIE is the exam that you need to take and pass in order to get licensed, right? So this is the one. This is the big corner that you got to get past. There are 200 multiple choice questions on this exam, and you get 4 hours to complete the test. It's a very long, tedious uh, test. I'll leave my personal thoughts about it out of this, but it's very long. Again, there are 200 questions. You get 4 hours. You have to pay the registration fee of $225 each time you look to take the test. One of the main things that I did not account for in my very first time taking the test was this exam psychology, because for me, I'm not a college graduate. I went, but I didn't finish. And it had been a long time since I had to sit down and literally stare at a computer screen, for hours and keep my brain sharp and focused to answer 200 multiple choice questions. In most cases, you're going to be in a room. You take the exam on a computer, so you're going to be in a room with like cubicles, and everybody's going to be sitting at their own cubicle, and some people will be coughing, some people will be tapping their pen, and some people, there are just so many things going on. So I don't want you to discount the focus. So the actual psychology, yes, you got to answer the questions right, but psychologically, mentally, you've got to be prepared to stay focused for an extended period of time so that you can answer all of those questions right. Okay, so that is kind of like the overview of what the NHIE is. Let's talk about what's on the exam. If you don't know, there are 10 major systems of every home, no matter where you live at in the country. 10 major systems: roofing, exterior, foundation, plumbing, heating, cooling, electrical, interior, fireplace and chimney, attic insulation, and ventilation. So, those are the 10 major systems that you find typically in homes across the country. There may look different, there may be variations based on your geography, but those are the standard 10 systems. Essentially, the exam covers all of those 10 systems. Here's an example on the screen of what would be covered in the structural section. So when I say foundation, that's the same thing as the structural. So you talk about foundation, you talk about floor structure, you talk about wall structure, as well as roof and ceiling structure. So all of the different components, your joists, your beams, your collar ties, your all of the different, your studs, your basement crawl spaces, all of these different components that fall up under these major sections are game to be on the test. This is not the type of exam where they're going to ask you, what is a joist? Explain what a collar tie is, or whatever the case may be. They're not going to ask you that. They're going to typically ask you more complex questions that assume that you have an understanding of how an entire house is constructed. Okay. So, again, this is not one of those tests where you can memorize a couple of terms and you can get past it. You need to actually understand all of those 10 systems and how they work together in order to be able to really answer these questions. Okay. Give me a one in the chat if that makes sense. This was one of the areas where again, my first time, I didn't have anybody to give me something like this to kind of give me a heads up and let me know what was on the exam. I was going in blind, and man, those first 20 or 30 questions, I was freaking out. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? I don't remember studying this. I don't remember, so I really had to like literally slow down and think how everything worked with each other. So make sure that you are clear about that and the types of questions that they will ask you. Here are some examples of those types of questions. Number one, the mortar joints on the exterior of a brick chimney are most durable if they are. So, again, this question is assuming that you understand and know what a mortar joint is, why it matters, the implications, why that's important. Like the question is assuming that. So if you don't know what a mortar joint is, it's going to be, you're going to have to guess in order to be able to answer this question. Okay. Number two, what type of foundation has a large amount of reinforced steel and is known as a floating foundation? Again, they're assuming that you already know that there are three main types of foundations: basement, crawl space, and then slab on grade. And then there are a couple of different types of slab on grade foundation. You need to already know that and know the difference of them in order for you to answer this question. Finally, when inspecting a home, you know horizontal cracks in the foundation wall. Which of the following would not be a cause of overload from the outside? You see how that's written, how it's phrased in a way that is kind of confusing. It's like, what? Which of the following would not, right? So you have to make sure you use a method that I call translate and eliminate. So the first thing that you do is translate the question. What are you really asking me, right? So this question, the last question, which of the following would not? So they're asking me for a wrong answer. They want me to pick out the wrong answer. If I take the time to translate that question first, it becomes easier to come up with the answer. The second part of that is the eliminate. There's one answer that typically you can always eliminate. If you eliminate that answer, then you increase your chances of getting the right one. So you translate the question and then you eliminate the answer that's absolutely wrong. Okay? Make sense? That's the method that you should use for every question. First of all, I need to translate and make sure I understand what they're asking me, and then I need to get rid of the answer that I know is incorrect. There's no way that it could be this answer. Okay. Jamisha, I got you. I got you on the study guide. Give me 1 second. Let me get there. Um, so that's what's going to be on the exam. To prepare for the exam, remember I talked about being mentally and psychologically ready. That's just as important as the technical, being able to answer the question the night before. Do not cram. Do not cram. If you haven't studied and you take your test the next day, it ain't no point in you even opening up the book. The day before your test, I would just maybe lightly review, but I wouldn't be doing any hardcore studying the day before the exam. Get a good night's rest, wake up the next day and go through your normal routine. For me, I like to wake up. I don't like I don't like to have to do things early in the morning. So I would never schedule my test for 8, 9, or 10 o'clock. I want to take the test about 12 or 1 o'clock after I've had a chance to get my coffee and I've eased into my day. That's what works best for me. That's when my brain is typically ready to start doing some heavy lifting. Be on time to your testing center, right? As I said, you get to, when you register for your exam, you get to choose where you want to take the test at. So you can choose, hopefully, a testing center that is relatively close to your house, but they will have specific things that you need: your ID, two forms of ID, and sometimes a different form that you have to bring. So make sure that you follow all instructions and you have all of the information that you need, and then show up to the test on time. Because what happens is there's often, this is PSI is a national, they host tests all over the country, so it won't just be home inspectors who are showing up to take the test. It'll be a lot of different tests, and sometimes there's a line when you get there to register. If you're stuck in line at your test time, they won't let you test. So make sure that you get there on time. Once you get registered and you actually start your exam and you start to answer questions, do not change your answer. Type that in the chat. I will not change my answer. I will go with my first mind. Okay. Again, your brain is a very powerful tool. You could read a question and sometimes your brain will recall it without you even really knowing. So when you go back and you change the answer, you're working against yourself. If the answer is going to be wrong, just be wrong with your first mind. Okay. Do not change your answer. Another thing is, while you're actually taking a test, and a lot of the testing centers, they will give you a break. Like, you get a 3-minute break to go to the bathroom. If they will offer you a break, I recommend taking that break. Once you start getting to that point where your brain is tired and you start, doodling on your paper and your mind starts to drift, go ahead and take that break. Go to the bathroom, get some fresh air, splash some water in your face. Just give yourself a second to kind of reset and then go back in and get back at the test. If you have 200 questions and you have 4 hours to complete it, that means you have about a minute and 20 seconds per question, which is not a lot of time, again, to read, translate the question, and then choose the correct answer. Okay, so you do have to be mindful of your time. I would recommend that you go through the test and you answer everything that you know. Go through the test one time, translate, eliminate, answer everything that you know, and then you'll have the option to mark different questions. Then you'll be able to go back and check the questions that you marked that you weren't 100% sure of. I say this because in those 200 questions, there will be a lot of repeats, right? There will be, well, not repeats, but there will be questions that give you clues and give you information in order to help you answer other questions. You know how they do that on tests? They'll ask, the question one way in question number 2, and then at question number 25, they will kind of give you the answer by asking a different question. So that's why I say go through so that you can see all of the questions and answer everything that you know first. Also, during the test, they typically give you a scratch piece of paper. I would recommend using that scratch piece of paper. There were some measurements and some information that I just had memorized, right? So when I got into my exam, I wrote that down on my scratch paper as like a cheat sheet, right? So that I know these measurements, I know this information, I wrote it down so I can refer to it during the exam. I also say use your scratch paper because, again, going back to, if I see a question early on in the exam and I'm not sure of the answer, and then I see, later on, I need to be able to take some notes so that when I go back to answer that question, I can use that information to get it right. Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat if that's making sense. The NHIE themselves will tell you that 55% of the people who take this test failed the first time. So that means that half of the people, we got about 60 people across all of the different platforms. That means that 30 of you will not pass on the first time. I'm not sure why they would be proud of a test where half of the people who take it don't pass. I'm not sure why that would be a good thing for them, but whatever. That's what they say. So that just lets you know that this is not, again, this is not one of those where you gonna half study, half read. It's not gonna happen for you. You'll fail the test. And even sometimes if you do study and prep and prepare, you may not pass, which is cool. To that, I will say retest every 30 days. You have to wait 30 days. They don't let you take it any sooner than that. You have to wait 30 days. If you take the test on Monday and don't pass, because you'll know, because they'll give you a sheet when you leave that says either, well, they'll pop up on your computer, pass or fail, and then they'll give you a sheet. A lot of times they'll show you where you did, where you were strong at, where you were weak at. If you don't pass on Monday, Tuesday morning when you wake up, you need to be rescheduling your test for the following week. Retest every 30 days until you pass. If you let really any time go past between your retakes, it will hurt you. It will not help you. People say, well, I'm going to wait for this and I'm going to study here and I'm going to prepare. The more time that goes past where you don't take the test, you're losing the information. It will be working against you. Take the test every 30 days. Once you start taking the test, it don't make no sense to do all that studying and go, get through all of that and then stop before you pass. Once you start preparing for this test, you need to commit to taking it every 30 days. And remember, what that means is that every time you take it, you will need to pay $225. So not only will you need to be prepared, studying psychologically, you also need to be prepared financially in order to take and pass this test. Okay? Now let's talk a little bit more about what's actually on the test. When we talk about those 10 major systems, I want to give you some examples of some of the components that could go with some of those systems. So make sure you pull out your pen and paper and take some notes on this. Also, make sure you stay to the end. If you are looking to, if you're preparing for, or if you're going to be preparing to pass this test, make sure you stay to the end. I got a free giveaway, so make sure you stay to the end. Everybody got their pen and paper? You ready to rock? Okay. The first of those major home systems is the roof. Okay. So we got our roof. Up under the roofing system, we got to study the roof structure, meaning how is it built? How is it constructed? The roof covering materials. You know how you typically see asphalt shingles on your roof. There are several different types of roof covering materials. You got to know about that. You have to know about roof flashing. Roof flashing is what we use to keep water out of our roof. Where the roof has different intersections and water could get in, we use flashing there. Okay, so structure, roof covering material, uh, roof flashing, and roof penetrations. Okay. Those are going to be, and just to give you again an idea, there are in the book, in the NHIE textbook, there are about 7 different roof covering materials that they go into, the installation, the materials, the defects, the all of that, right? So you have to you need to be familiar with that for all of those. So that just gives you some idea of, again, the type of study that you need to put into this. Next, for our exterior section, the exterior is not just the exterior of the house. Of course, it includes that, but so the exterior is the actual exterior cladding of the house. So like your vinyl siding or your aluminum siding. So your exterior cladding and trim. You also have your windows and doors. You have porches, stoops, patios, decks. You have walkways and driveways. So, for example, there are a lot of specific construction requirements and measurements that are associated with a deck. So, if you're inspecting for the test purposes, they could ask you tons of different measurement questions about the deck ledger, the deck joist, the deck handrail, you know, so many different questions just up under the deck, when you're considering the deck for the exterior. Plumbing. So under plumbing, we have the water supply, we have the water heater, a way to get hot water for our home. We have fixtures and appliances, and then we have what's called the DWV system. Anybody know what DWV stand for? Drop it in the chat if you do. The DWV system. The plumbing system is broken up into basically two different parts. You got the supply side and you got the DWV side. Who knows what DWV stands for? Anybody? Let me see. Let me check. Let me check all of the chats and see if anybody has it. Nope. Nobody got it. Okay, so DWV. Okay, there you go. There you go, Brianna. You close. Brianna, you real close. Drain, waste, vent. Yes, drain, waste, vent. So, as a part of our plumbing system, we obviously have to drain our waste, and then we also have to have a venting system, which helps us basically keep our lines, at the right pressure. I don't want to get too complicated, but the drain, waste, and vent system. We got plumbing to provide us water, and then we got the drain, waste, and vent system to get rid of our waste. I'll do one more. The electrical. So for our electrical, we have the service drop, which is where the utility will drop the lines for us to have electrical service to our house. Then we have our main panels, where your circuit breakers are housed. That's your main panel. You have grounding and bonding. Grounding and bonding are basically safety um, mechanism, not safety mechanisms or safety features to basically to provide a safe path if there's ever too much electricity, essentially. So you have to know what are the grounding and bonding requirements. You also have to know about your receptacles and your wiring. So you have, in most of your bedrooms and common areas, you'll just have regular receptacles. Anywhere where there could be water, like your kitchen, your bathroom, or your outside, you'll have GFCI receptacles. And then from your panel to all of those receptacles, you'll have wiring. And so you'll need to know the different types of wiring. These are all of this is, again, fair game for the exam. So let me know if there are any questions about what could actually show up on the exam. Let me know in the chat. I just put up on the screen how you can reach me. I'm on all social media platforms: IG, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. I got tons of free home inspector content across all of these different platforms. You can always go and watch some of the free trainings if you are not yet ready for any of the paid trainings. What was the components of the plumbing section again? All right, so you have your water service. So that's where, again, the utility provides you with the water. Your main water shutoff is how you cut off and on the water for your whole entire house. And then you have your water heater, or a method for you to heat up your water to provide hot water for your house. And then you have your fixtures and appliances. That's going to be like your sinks, your tubs, your toilet, different things like that, fixtures and appliances. And then finally, you have your DWV, the drain waste and vent system, which is again, just think when you think of plumbing, think of supplying. So we're getting water in, and then the DWV or the waste system, we're taking our waste out. So make sure y'all connect across all of the platforms, especially YouTube. If you're serious about this, I would definitely go to YouTube. There's a lot of different trainings. I got some videos where I'm live at inspections so you can see how all of this actually comes together. Okay. Any other questions? Let me see. Let me check all of the chats. Dirty water. What's up, Matt? Yep. Dirty water. Okay. Um, y'all ready for the giveaway? So I'm gonna give away a free digital textbook set to somebody. Y'all ready? Y'all excited? Or y'all don't care? Because I keep my little digital textbook set. I got plenty students that need them. Okay, so let me know in the chat what state you're going to be inspecting in. What state are you going to be inspecting in? Florida, Ohio, Illinois, Texas. Okay, Florida again. Yep, you all will need this book. Cali, uh, Florida over here, DC, Maryland, Virginia, GA, South Carolina. What's up, South Carolina? What part of South Carolina? Indiana. Okay, cool. Everybody, all of the states that I saw, with the exception. So here's the deal. If you're in a non-regulated state like Cali or Georgia, technically you are not required to take the test. However, I would 1000% recommend that you take it for a couple of reasons. Number one, I believe that eventually this will be a national thing. I think that you see what they said, national home inspector examination. So clearly that's what their plan is. And if they've been able to accomplish it in 32 states, I'm thinking they're going to be able to take down those other 18 states. So at some point, I'm thinking that this is going to be a national requirement. It's best to go ahead and get it out the way. So if it does become a requirement in your state, you can hopefully be grandfathered in. That's number one. Number two, if you're in a non-regulated state, this will be a great way to set yourself apart from most other people in your state who would not have taken this exam. It's another way to add a credential, right? So even if you're in a non-regulated state, I recommend that you take the exam. The test is not required. I can't remember all of the states off the top of my head, but Cali, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Kansas, Colorado. There are like 10 others that I'm missing right now that don't require technically by law. Yeah, DC too, John Ward. DC is one of those. Um, thanks, so girl, you on your job, baby. DC is one of those places that don't require to, but I still highly, if you want to be a professional at this, you need to take and pass this test. Okay. So, all right, let's get to the giveaway. Y'all ready? We ready? Y'all ready over here? 120 hours for what state, Matt? What state you talking about? Florida? So in Florida, you actually got a choice. In Florida, you could take the NHIE, InterNACHI, or the FABI exam. And in that case, I would definitely recommend taking the InterNACHI because it's a hell of a lot easier than all of these other ones. Greenville. Okay, cool. My sister used to live in dang it, where is Spartanburg? I was about to forget where she lives. Spartanburg. And my other family is down in Charleston. Yeah, Florida. Florida is 120 hours. Let me see any other states in here that I know off the top. Illinois is 60 hours, I want to say, plus the NHIE. Let me see. Florida, I already did Florida. Texas. Texas is one of the more difficult states to get licensed in because they were actually the first state to come out with um a licensure process. So Texas is, I believe, like 140 hours of class and then 40 hours of practicum. But shout out to, we got two Inspector Flow students who just recently got licensed within a year in Houston and also San Antonio. So shout out to Jacob and also Sarah. Okay, I think those are all of the states that I saw. Um, in terms of your education, let me make this loud and clear for everybody. I don't have anywhere where I would feel comfortable referring you to go to school anywhere except Inspector Flow, and that's not just because it's mine. I don't have there's not a school that I've seen, and I've gone to the big four. I've taken the classes at the big four, and I could not in good faith recommend any of them. I know that you will probably go to, the one that is the most popular, but in my opinion, you will click through and you may get, pass the test to get the certification. But is that going to actually be enough for you to be able to pass this exam and also to actually be a home inspector? I wouldn't put my money on it. I'm gonna just say it like that. And also another thing to note is that uh NHIE and NHIE are two totally different entities, and they actually don't even like each other. NHIE thinks that the NHIE is BS, and the EBPHI, who gives the NHIE exam, thinks that NHIE is full of BS. Okay. So just know that going in. If you follow me on my other platforms, I talk more about it. And that is why I created my own school, because for people that belong to my community, if you don't come from a background in the trades or construction, you should still be able to learn how to become a home inspector. And I've done that. Over the last 2 years, I've trained 60 plus people from 18 states across the country, and the majority of them did not have any knowledge. Good portion of them have passed the exam, and some of them, it took them several times. Some of them, they passed it on the first one. So I'm not affiliated with none of these people. Okay. I ain't affiliated with none of them. I do my own thing, and I do it based upon my 10 plus years experience in real estate, rehabbing homes, and the other qualifications. So as far as school, all I got for you is Inspector Flow. I would love to. Is it okay if I'm not in Ohio? Yes. We actually have tons of people in Illinois. Shout out to Dre. Dre was in Inspector Flow 1. He's a former NFL player running next level home inspections out in Chicago. He now has some Inspector Flow graduates who work up under him. So yeah, you don't have to be in Ohio to work with us. For in-person requirements, how will we complete if I'm in another state? At the end of Inspector Flow, we have mock inspections in Cleveland, so you'd have to make the 5 hour trip. Okay, all right, let's do the giveaway. I'm gonna stay around at the end for any questions that you may have. But let's get the giveaway. Didn't know that Nachi was equivalent. Shay, what you mean equivalent to what? 60 in Illinois. Okay, yeah. 60 and 5 ride alongs. Don't let me forget that. You got to do the 5 ride along part. Okay? All right. For the giveaway, let me pull this up. For the giveaway, I want you to drop a number between 1 and 30. Hold up. Let me write the number. Philip, Brianna, y'all, I ain't even wrote the number down yet. Dang, wait a minute. Y'all are thirsty. Wait, let me write the number down first. Between 1 and 30. A number between 1 and 30. Whoever gets closest to the number wins the books. I'm gonna tell y'all when to drop the number. I ain't wrote it down yet. Give me a second. 1 to 30. Let me see. What's my number gonna be? Lucky number. So girl, what's my number? Y'all still they still dropping number. not gonna count till I say, so it doesn't matter. They done dropped every number 1 through 30. Okay, that's my number. All right, now drop your number. All right, YouTube, drop your number. I'm gonna let y'all play too. Drop the number on YouTube too. Only drop one number. Okay, let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Okay. Okay, we got the numbers. All right, so Greg and Ruth. Greg and Ruth, it's a tie between you guys. Greg and Ruth both got 27. My number was 29. My number was 29. All right, so we got to have a number off. All right, so now we're going to go a number between 1 and 10. Greg and Ruth. Greg and Ruth only. A number between 1 and 10. What's my number, so girl? All right, Greg and Ruth, y'all chose y'all numbers. All right, Ruth is the winner. The number was 10. Yay, woo! Shout out to Ruth. Ruth, send me an email at nita@inspectorflow.com and I will get you your books tomorrow. They will come digitally. You can read them on your computer, on your phone, or on your laptop. Okay? Now, let's get down to business. To Jamisha's question, I did everybody a solid. Okay? I created a study guide for you. I created a study guide for you, okay? So this has nothing to do with NHIE. They don't offer a study guide. All they offer you are these two textbooks. That's it. Ain't no study guides through NHIE. So this is my study guide that I created based upon the classes that I teach, based upon me passing it twice and also helping other people. This is a almost as close to 40 pages of a study guide that goes through all of the 10 systems. So you know how we just talked through a couple of them. This one goes through all of, I got a page or two on each system and also some other tips in there to help you. Okay. So I would recommend using this study guide in conjunction with your books. In conjunction with your books, you could even use this study guide for real, and go to my YouTube and watch some of those trainings on there and get the information. And this is interactive, right? So there are places for you to fill things in. There's some information that I've given to you, but again, a lot of it is for you to actually read, study, and fill in on your own. Okay. So I created that for you. You're welcome, Jay Misha. No problem. Don't worry about it. All I want you to do is pass the test. And to answer Brianna's question, for you guys being here, I'm gonna let you get the study guide. For how much y'all think the study guide is? Drum roll, please. 100. That's it. The study guide is $17, folks, for the next 24 hours. I'll say. Then after that, it's going up considerably. So it's available for the next 24 hours for $17. As soon as we get out of this, they all on YouTube. 97. Yeah, it should be 97, but it's not. It's only 17. So I'll be sending you out an email after we get off this training. You can go ahead and get it. You can immediately download it. You can print it out if you want to, or you can use it digitally on your iPad. Again, if you have the books, use the books and go through it to fill it out. If you don't have the books, aren't ready to get it just yet, go to my YouTube, watch some of those trainings on there. I got other NHIE study sessions where we talk about some of the specific systems. Okay, so let me know in the chat who getting the study guide. Let me know. Okay, Matt, I'm gonna send you a copy. Don't even worry. Send me an email. I got you. I'm gonna send you one. T Nicole getting it, Brianna getting it, M Butler, Philip. Okay, cool. So once you get it and start going through it, let me go back to the contact screen. You got all of my contact information. So once you start going through it, make sure you hit me up and let me know if you have questions. Again, anybody, I don't care who you are, whatever your background is, where you come from, if you're willing to invest your time and your money, you can learn how to become a home inspector. And let me just, I did an inspection today. Today's don't count because I was inspecting a house that I'm going to buy. But had it been for somebody else, that would have been a $500 inspection. If you do 10 inspections a month at just $500, that's $5,000 a month. 10 inspections is very doable even for a beginner. So that should be your goal. And for most of you, really the only thing standing in your way is the education part, learning how and being able to pass this test. Once you can do that, it's not hard to find business, and you'll be able to, again, start your own business, work up under somebody else. It'll be a beautiful thing for you. Okay. All right. Any final questions? Let's take some questions. Is that with wind mitigation? So wind mitigation is typically, I think, in Florida on the 4 point. So that's like an insurance inspection. So you can do 4 point inspections down in Florida if that's a thing for you. But just as a part of a general home inspection, no, there's no wind mitigation that's included. When you're doing real estate deals, you can inspect your own. Yes, absolutely, I can, for sure. Sometimes if you're buying a property off of MLS, I don't know, I guess sometimes maybe the lender will have something to say about that, but I buy most of my properties direct to seller, so it's not an issue for me. I actually had one of my students come out and he did the majority of the inspection. I was just there for oversight and I saved myself $500. Okay, what other questions do you have about passing the test, about inspecting the day to day? Terry, I'm going to email out the link. I'm going to email the link. As soon as we wrap here, I'm going to email the link. So if you got the link to get into the Zoom, you'll get the link for the study guide and you'll be able to, again, click it, 17 bones, download it, get to it. My absolute pleasure, Terry. How did you find leads? Do you know a lot of realtors? I do know quite a bit of realtors, but it's not hard to, you know, like you reach out to the different brokerages because again, they gotta have you. If this was a thing where you had to beg people and convince them to get a home inspection, then I would not be doing this. Because people are not, they not wise enough to know, yes, I should pay $500 to have an inspection on my 100 or 200, $300,000 home. It's not like that. In order for a realtor to get paid, they have to sell the house. The realtor works with the buyer. In order for the buyer to sell the house, they got to have the inspection. So somebody got to call you, so all you have to do is make yourself available to the realtors, and typically they connect you with the buyers because again, you the missing link for the buyer to buy the house and then for the realtor to actually end up getting paid. The realtors don't get paid until the deal closes. Okay, make sure y'all tapping. You price an inspection based on typically three things: the size of it, so yes, the square foot, the location of it, how far do you have to travel out to get to it, and then the age of it. Obviously, with older homes, typically a lot of times there's going to be more wrong, so sometimes they cost more. So that is how you price an inspection. I do have a tool list. I'm trying to think where it's at. I'll send you an email about it in Butler. What's your first name so I can know? I'll send you. If you are on TikTok though, my tool list is in the link in my bio. Oh, that's Mariah. Okay. So if you go to TikTok, I got my tool list in my my little Amazon situation where you can see everything that I have. Um, it's in my link on TikTok. Otherwise, I'll send you out an email with that on there. Don't go out. What I would say about tools is that a lot of people go out and start buying a bunch of crap that they don't need. Don't do that. You want to start any business, but especially this one, you want to keep your expenses lean so that when you do those 10 inspections at $500 and you gross $5,000, you aren't basically giving it all back away because you wanted to go out and buy all of this stuff. So don't do that. What about the drone exam? Do you recommend that? Yes, I absolutely do. In order to fly a drone commercially or for money, you need to be certified through the FAA. If not, it's a Fed issue. Okay. So, yes, I highly recommend. For me, I use my drone to inspect my roofs and I'm being paid. So, that's a commercial use. So, I am FAA certified to fly a drone as well. Good question. My only concern is getting on roofs. Could a drone? Yep, I just answered that for you, Brianna. So you good to go, baby. I have a DJI Mini 2, which I have on the list. I have that on my tool list. I also have a what's called a Doka pole, which is basically a 30-foot telescoping pole that I can kind of move. You know what I mean. And I could put a camera on the end of it. So between those two, that's how I inspect my roofs. I am not. I broke my tailbone. I am not physically able, nor do I have the desire to walk on anyone's roof for $500. How long does it take you to normally do a home? Typically, an inspection is going to take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. Again, depending upon the size and the condition of the property. The inspection that I had today was a 3-bed, 1.5 bath, single family home that was I think it's about 12 or 1,300 square feet. And it took me right at 2 hours. Also, keep in mind, there's the report. So for me, I what I call rough in my report while I'm on site. So a good portion, a good majority of my report is completed before I actually even leave the inspection. Then when I get home, I'll typically pull it up on my computer just to check over everything, see if there are any extra pictures or anything that I want to add or that I would like to clarify. From there, I can just hit publish basically, and then my client will receive the report. All right, body mechanic, I got you on the tool list. That's clearly, I didn't know. That's the thing that everybody wants, huh? How would incorporate being in adjuster? What? Okay, so we've got a few adjusters who are inspectors. If you're an adjuster, typically you are most busy during cat season. In my opinion, well, I ain't gonna say that, but typically you're most busy during cat season, right? So adjust during cat season, and then outside of cat season, you can inspect. That's what I would recommend doing. It is what you have to do are, excuse me, is similar. It's a little bit more in depth, a little bit more detailed on the inspection side of things. But it's basically the same thing, showing up to a house, inspecting it. Our reports again are a little bit more in depth, but we don't have to do the Exactimate, all of that kind of stuff. We don't get into that. So very similar, very similar. And yeah, and if you aren't able, I know some people who, their lives aren't set up to go, basically storm chasing and do cat adjusting. So if you have the skills but you aren't able to, or you don't have the money to pay for a hotel for a month or whatever the case may be, then your skills would translate directly over into home inspection. Software programs used to send the report to the customer, are those out there? Did you create? I did not create. I do use one. However, I'm not saying their name because I keep reaching out to them and they don't want to work with me, and I'm not about to keep giving them all this free pub. So if you want me to show you how to do the report, you got to sign up for Inspector Flow. That's the only place where I talk about it. But yeah, there are report writing softwares out there where you can use them. This one is actually really good too, which is why they should work with me, because I could have told you, Rita, and then you would have probably signed up, and but you know how they do. So I ain't gonna worry about it. But yes, there are report writing softwares. I typically use my phone and an iPad when I'm on site to write the report and then submit it. Inspector Flow 6 will be starting February 25th, 2024. Enrollment will begin on November 1st. We've made some upgrades, some changes to make it more accessible and more palatable for people. So I'm excited for that. I'm hoping and praying to God that there are still spaces available come November 1st after I drop it to the inner circle first. I just started my home inspection class with ICA last Wednesday, hearing HVAC is a monster. HVAC is not that bad. What are you getting hung up on, Jeremy? So HVAC is not that bad. Here in Ohio, we have and then North Carolina, what do you guys have? Air handlers down there? Y'all don't even hardly need any heat down there. With your cooling, You're gonna have in a split system, you're gonna have a condenser, and then it'll be connected to, your air handler, your furnace, or whatever you got via your refrigerant lines. And that's essentially how you get cool air, is the refrigerant, extracting energy from the refrigerant is essentially how you, I mean, there's a couple other steps, but that's essentially how you get the cool air. And then the ducts carry the cool air through the house. And it's the same process for heating, right? So um, heat and cool is just the presence or the absence of energy. The absence of energy is cool. The presence of energy is heat. I'm in classes with them people too. Okay, cool. I hope it works out for you. Did y'all see how that worked though? Did y'all find out about home inspecting from my page? And then y'all went to the other schools. You see why I won't say nobody name? That's okay, because coming in 2024, Inspector Flow, we're gonna be certified in we're starting with Florida, Indiana, Maryland, and one more, but we'll be certified to provide education in those states. So you guys won't have to hear me and come to all my trainings and then go over there and go to school with them and then never learn how to do it. So we're working on it. Any other questions? Yes, we have air handler. Okay, cool. I actually use a thermal imaging camera that I'm a barber and one of my clients put me. Okay, cool. I went to barber school too. I use the Klein one that you can attach to. I live in California. I had to. Nah, you didn't have to. I got students in Cali. Anyways, it ain't no problem. I ain't talking about y'all specifically. It ain't no funny towards y'all. It's just a thing, because my videos get like millions of views and people will see the video and then they go over there and then those people don't really teach them how to inspect and then they end up doubling back. So that's all it was. But yeah, it ain't no big deal. But yeah, my thermal imaging camera is the Klein one. It attaches to my phone. I didn't I didn't get this super expensive one. Those thermal imaging joints could, they go up to $3,000. I'm not buying those. My Klein one that I can attach it to my phone does me well. I don't need Wi-Fi connectivity. Like, I didn't need all of that. So that's why I chose it. Maybe I should wait and see accredited for Florida because I'm trying to keep it. No, man, if you're ready to go ahead. You and because you an adjuster, like, you already got a lot of the knowledge. Get with Nehemiah and knock it out. We're of course only be available online. I like to do in person to learn better. So it is the study part of it is virtual. We meet live like this every Sunday, and then at the end, everybody comes to Cleveland and we have the mock inspections. Here's what you gotta watch out for. The majority of home inspection schools classes are online, and what they are is they are videos. You will be hard pressed to find um, a actual class that is live and instructor led that is longer than a couple weeks. Typically, when they do those, it's like it's only a couple weeks long. So that's what you're going to be up against. So you should know that going in. Any school that you choose to go to, this is what you should look for. Write this down because this is important. They should have a clear plan to teach you the 10 major systems of the home. You need to know each and every one of those systems. How do we get plumbing in? It comes from the utility. What's the path? What are all the components? What are the measurements of the piping? Same thing with electrical. Same thing with heating. About the insulation, you need to know all the different types. You need to know all of that. The 10 major systems of a home. How to write a home inspection report. NHIE test prep, right? So, in-depth preparation. A lot of these schools don't even give you the books. They will give you a different home inspection book, but they will not give you the actual. This is what you need to prepare for the NHIE. They need to be asking you practice questions, like actually preparing you for the exam. If a school doesn't have a clear plan to do that, it's probably not going to be enough for you. If the education is less than $2,000, it's probably not going to be enough for you. You can go to a lot of these places and sign up for 600, 1,200. It's not going to be enough. You're not going to actually know how to inspect, how to write the report, how to pass the test, and be confident enough to actually get out and market yourself for business. I know it. I see it. I got people reaching out to me every day from having gone to all of these schools, white, black, male, female, everybody in between. They need a, I went to such and such. I'll be posting it. You can see I went to such and such. I don't know how to do this. I went to such and such and I'm stuck. I went to here. Like, so you get what you pay for, okay? And I just showed you that in your first 90 days as an inspector, you will make a few $1,000s. Like, that's just how it goes. So it don't make no sense to be chinsing on the education. So don't look for the cheapest, look for the best, the most thorough and the most comprehensive. And I'll give you a hint, folks. You don't have to look far. Any other questions? Yes, there's a payment plan. It's gonna be 500 bucks a month. That was one of the things that I heard about was the payment situation. So we've adjusted 500 bucks a month to enroll for Inspector Flow. This is one of the textbooks. As a student of Inspector Flow, I provide my students with a digital copy of the textbook set. Terry, yep, you'll be able to make payment plan. I got everybody covered. I want to make this as accessible as possible without compromising the quality. Have you been called back to verify if something was fixed after you reported it, resulting in second inspection on the same property? Yes, I have, and I've also um, done multiple inspections for one buyer. So I'll go do one inspection for whatever reason they don't buy the house. Go out and do another inspection for whatever reason they don't buy the house. I just had that the other day. I had a $1,200 inspection for a multi-unit building, and an hour into the inspection, we're not buying this. So yes, I've had that. How did it take you to get used to and comfortable with doing your inspection? Well, Marcus, again, I started out as an investor, so I've been in thousands of homes. I've rehabbed hundreds of them. So I was already, as an inspector, I was already super comfortable with homes. I just needed to learn that the technical side of it, right? Like I didn't know, I knew, okay, I can redo a bathroom, but I didn't know that there was a P trap and then the drain pipe and then it was connected to this and then the vent. Like I didn't know all of that. So that was what I actually had to learn. For somebody else, what I've seen with my students is anywhere from, I've heard as low as 20 and I've heard as high as 50, from 20 to 50 inspections to really start to get comfortable and get your feet up under you. But remember though, this is one of those few jobs where your very first inspection, where you're going to be super scared, super nervous, you're still going to get paid. You still going to make $400 to $500, right? So as you're going along, every inspection, you're going to get stronger. You're going to do better. You're going to feel more comfortable, more confident, but you're still going to be getting paid along the way. And man, is that a beautiful thing. Hey, do you know any in Illinois? I'm struggling to find what? Do you have to know code for each county? No. So, Marcus, we don't do no promoting no other schools over here. So we don't do that. No, you don't have to know code. Home inspectors again are not code inspectors. Obviously, it is helpful to know. I have a code book here. But we are not inspecting for code. We will not be saying this is up to code. No, that's not up to code. We won't be doing that. That's nothing. That's nothing. May Bush 20 to 50. You could do 20 in a month. Typically, home inspector. I don't inspect full time because I invest full time. Full time inspectors a lot of times will have two slots for home inspections: a morning and an afternoon. So that's two a day. So it's not hard to get to 20 inspections at all. I don't have no school recommendations, none at all. The only school I can tell you about is mine, baby. That's the only one that I know for certain that no matter who you are, what your background is, you'll be well taken care of. The rest of these places, from what I've seen, based upon me signing up for them and based upon the majority, y'all got to think the majority of my students started off at other places first. So I'm not just like, this ain't, like I'm just saying this or nothing. Like this is what I know based upon my experience. I've been outside. They went to those places and they couldn't Dre. Dre. Again, he's from IF1. He's in Chicago. He went to the place that Marcus just put in the chat. Marcus, did you know that? Huh? Any final questions before we wrap up? Make sure y'all look out for that email. Get your study guide tonight. Um, and be ready for November 1st. November 1st, we flow. That's right. Tell them so, girl. See, they new here. They don't know. We any final questions? Was this helpful? Did y'all enjoy? Let me know in the chat. Should I never do this again or what? $500. I got you. It's 500 bones. You're gonna be able to enroll for $500 come November 1st. On my mama, on my hood. Sign up for the class. I'ma do you good. Peace, y'all. Be blessed. I holla.